Hey, welcome back to the channel. So I've been seeing a lot of complaints online about the overheating issue on the ZVE1. Personally, I've never had a problem with overheating on it, but again, I've never shot it in super high temperatures either. Most of my testing was done when I originally bought the camera. That was a few months ago, and since then it's gotten super hot. So we're gonna out shoot with it today. It's 90 degrees currently. It's supposed to get up to about 95 or 98 degrees. And I'm just gonna walk around the botanical gardens here and see how long it takes me to overheat. I'm just gonna shoot like I normally would. I'm gonna shoot a little 30 frames per second, a little 60 frames per second, maybe some 120, you know, and just shoot like I would normally shoot. Maybe some photos in there and all that kind of stuff. And we're just gonna see how long this camera will last. I have a timer set, it's locked and going, and we're just gonna see what we can get. I guess now would be just as good as time as any is to talk about the A7C II and the A7CR. Man, to be honest with you, I think they're both overpriced, both of them. But I went ahead and got in line on the A7C II. I just think when those cameras are released, it's gonna be damn near impossible to find one. So I thought it might, you know, I really haven't made up my mind yet. I decided to go ahead and get in line on them. The thing I liked about the A7C II is, here are my thoughts on it. Like, I can take it as a travel camera and still use APS-C lenses on it and get the video that I want. And I can also get photos, but they'll be at, you know, around 15 megapixels, which isn't very much. But I think it'll do, you know, for what I want. As a matter of fact, I'm okay generally with the 12 megapixels of the ZVE1, generally. My only problem with the ZVE1 as a travel camera and taking pictures and stuff like that is there's no viewfinder and the screen is really bad in the direct sunlight. And while everything generally is in focus and looks pretty decent, you can't really review your photos to see if you need to make any adjustments in your settings. The older I get, the more I realize that I really need a viewfinder more than anything else, just to kind of review and see how things look in the camera as I go along there. The screen, it's just not, like even on the ZVE1, I just can't see it. Like I just switched it over into cinematic vlog mode because I hit the icon on accident, and I tried to, I just had to keep pushing buttons because I can't see the icons on there. Without my reading glasses, it's almost impossible to see. That's why I think the viewfinder is pretty crucial for me, just because I'm having a hard time seeing the older I get. The A7CR, it looks to be an awesome camera, but $3,000 for a camera with a crappy screen and by most accounts a crappy viewfinder, that is just a little bit too much for me to take. I just think that camera, I think the A7C II is overpriced, and I think the A7CR is way overpriced considering the screen and the viewfinder. Now, if it had came out with the awesome screen, like 3 million dots at least on the screen, and an awesome viewfinder, I would have ordered that camera no problem. But with the 1 million dot screen and the same viewfinder on the A7C II, it's just not a very good value. It's just, even with the you know, high resolution sensor, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I went the A7C II, but I did order that extra grip. $150 for a grip, and that's crazy. It's crazy, but I think it's necessary for those type of cameras, I found. Because even like the ZVE1, all these smaller cameras I get, I wind up adding some kind of base plate or a cage or something to get a better purchase on the camera.
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Bry. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah. I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Bry. when I get high. Let me meditate, then I celebrate. Tryna get the cake, I don't take a break. Yeah. Wait, grew up in the 90s, we was watching Ricky Lake. We was eating top ramen or a TV dinner plate. Made that couple dollars, so I probably get the steak. Going out at John and Venice, I told Quinn and I'll be late. Ay, I'm so epidemic, I'ma cause an epidemic. Put my feet up in the building, feeling like a tenant. When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. When I get high.
Just for a quick update, I just received my first overheating warning at 20 minutes. I've been shooting a little bit of a mixture of everything. 4K 30, 4K 60, 4K 120, and I first got my first overheat warning. All right, we're sitting over on this park bench, waiting on the ZVE1 to cool down. We'll give it about 5 minutes and continue on shooting. I'm just on my cell phone right here, so we'll see what happens. But a little concerning that it went off after 20 minutes, but most of that was in 4K 60 and 4K 120, so I don't know. Okay, we've let the camera cool off for about 5 minutes. The overheating warning is no longer there. So I've restarted the timer. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it on 30 frames per second. And I'm just going to walk until it overheats. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that, unfortunately, when I was shooting my B-roll in 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second, I didn't have the goddamn screen flipped out for whatever reason. My mistake, but you can add that into your calculation if necessary. But right now, the screen is flipped out. I'm just gonna walk until the camera shuts off. I don't think that running this camera straight, you know, like a 30-minute runtime, that's not what the camera's for. It's for more off and on shooting, but I don't know. Maybe this will give you some kind of idea what the camera can do, maybe what it can't do, more specifically. But it's also important to use the camera as intended. And I don't know whether, you know, setting it on a tripod and just letting the camera run really does it justice. I'll tell you what I want to do though. I'm going to flip it over here to dynamic active stabilization. We're going to check that out. I really hadn't messed with that just a whole lot. We're going to see what it can do. I put this small rig cage on this ZVE1. It has made a huge difference in the usability, ergonomics of the camera. Like, so much better. So much better, but the problem is, of course, when you add something that big and that bulky, you might as well just have a regular DSLR size camera, because ultimately that's how big it is with the grip and the cage and all that. Really, it's hot out here now, I ain't gonna lie to you. It is hot, hot. You get out of the shade and into the sun, it's hot. My phone says 92 right now, but I think that's measured in the shade. You come out into the sun, you can definitely feel it. Let's do a quick check on the time. No overheating warnings quite yet. And we're at 7 minutes, 30 seconds. So, there you go. No overheat warning yet at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. I follow this content creator down in Florida, and he got a ZVE1. Now, if you know anything about Florida, it is baking hot down there. I mean, humid and hotter than all get out. And he was kind of doing some camera testing and stuff, and he wound up getting a ZVE1. And I've been kind of keeping track of him and asking him every so often if he's had any overheat warnings or issues. And so far, he hasn't reported any, to me anyway. But he's a straight up vlogger. He's one of those amusement Disney vloggers, basically, travel vlogger. And again, I think if you use that camera, this ZVE1 like that, you know, for a little short burst here and there, take some B-roll, you know, things like that, I think you're gonna be perfectly fine with it. Do another time check. Oh, the warning light just came on. The warning light just came on. We've been walking straight for 13 minutes, 13 and a half minutes, basically. So, there you go. That's walking, 30 frames per second. Screen out, in the sun and the shade. So, there's my results. So, what are my recommendations on the ZVE1 as far as the overheating goes? Well, it all depends on how you use your camera. I think if you shoot clips, if you look at all the clips that you shoot, and it's fairly hot where you live, fairly warm climate, and you shoot clips generally, and you shoot a lot of clips over the 5-minute mark, I think the ZVE1 might not be the camera for you. If most of your clips are less than 5 minutes, I think you'll get along just fine. 5 minutes might not seem like a lot, but it's quite a bit. And that's if you're shooting outside. If you're shooting inside, you're gonna get away with a lot more. I think the camera will be just fine shooting indoors. So I don't think there'll be any problems there. Also, if you're outside, shooting outside, and you like to shoot a lot of 4K 60 and 4K 120 in your videos, I don't know if this is gonna be the camera for you. I mean, I think it's gonna overheat. So basically, that's kind of my recommendations. If you're going to use it on a hot day, it's going to overheat. If it's a little bit cooler, you're probably going to be all right. If you really depend on your camera to work when it's hot outside, I wouldn't depend on this camera. But for me, it's not that big of a deal. I'm hardly ever shooting when it's super hot outside, and it works good for me. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
When I get high.